Good evening, cabs, it's me, Kieran. Today we are going to talk about the 1966 novel Seasons of Migration of the North, a controversial Sudanese classic. But why was it so controversial? Well, like a lot of books after the midpoint of the 20th century, we have discussions on sexuality, identity, but importantly for this novel, the problem of colonialization. And we explore these themes through our anonymous narrator's encounter with Mustafa Saeed. Now, our narrator knows absolutely nothing about Saeed, but he's clocked on that a lot of people within the village are aware of who Saeed is. The problem is, Saeed has been in London because Sudan was colonised by Britain. He's been brought up within the British system, and now Saeed finds himself a stranger in his own hometown. Like the famous philosopher Sting in a parallel universe, Saeed is ultimately an Englishman in Khartoum. I mean, the jokes write themselves at this point. I had the excuse for a segue, and ultimately this is what this book feels like, a massive segue. There's no real plot here, there's no real character development. Everything within Migrations is fleeting, it's despondent, it's dissonant, in a way that I really struggled to find any cohesion. People, places and plot points all around the globe, try saying that after a few drinks, are consistently and continuously churned out for you, dear reader. Now, this does not help in the fact that the narrator knows nothing of Saeed, and he's trying to understand Saeed's own story, which itself rambles on. There is, however, one consistency here, and that is Saeed's ability to woo women. And if I needed to spell it out for you, that might be where the controversial sexual content is. But this novel does give women agency. The problem is that everyone kind of tumbles in and out of this novel. Simultaneously, this novel does seem to want to upend traditional Sudanese values. How it does that, actually, before we touch on that, this novel is so superficial at times with its cultural nuances of Sudan that had I not known this was a Sudanese novel and the word Khartoum pop up now and then, you would have absolutely no idea. Now, it's not that I think that every novel needs a good, strong sense of place, but I've learned really nothing about Sudan. I say this because I'm aware that a lot of people, when they read translated fiction, want to get an understanding of different cultures and how they operate. What we have here is that Sudan's very traditional and the West isn't. This is the crux of Saeed's story, that he is a post-colonial man. He is Sudanese by birth, he has been raised within Britain and resultantly now fits in nowhere. To Sudan, he is British. To the British, he's Sudanese. This is a topic that has been covered by myriad authors internationally. Salih's not the only one. Is he the first one to do it? I'm not entirely sure. He's definitely the first Sudanese person to do it. Now, I want to address this because I think there are other books that do what Salih's doing better. The first one I would mention is The Inheritance Lost by Indian author Kiran Desai, of which I have done a review and I will leave that down below. I'll also link my review to Zimbabwean author Tsitsi Dangaramga's Nervous Conditions, which is also considered a African classic. Now that I think about it, both Desai and Dangaramga were shortlisted for the Booker. Desai actually won it, but this also reminds me of the inaugural Booker winner, P.H. Newby's Something to Answer For, which is somewhat akin in themes to this novel. However, we are set in Egypt. Interestingly enough, while the narrator of this story is trying to figure out Saeed's story, P.H. Newby's narrator has got amnesia from he falls down a lot in this story and is trying to figure out where he needs to be. I only mention these books because if you like this one, check out the others, especially this one because this was published in 1968, so they're very close in time period. But if you're spoiled for recommendations but you haven't got time, the end of this is so similar to Manto's Toba text, a extremely short story, that if this novel was not influenced by Manto's short story, I would begin to question everything that I know. Look, you've probably got it by now. I didn't really like this book. I don't particularly rate it. I think there are books that have covered similar topics that have done it better. Truth be told, I gritted my teeth out of sheer boredom and frustration throughout this novel. I ended up only finding entertainment for this little game I was playing called How Long Is This Character Going to Last in Page Count? I know a lot of people adore this, and the reason why I picked this up is that Kate Crafter, I'll link her down below, absolutely raved about this. Powerful, evocative, but I found this incredibly lackluster. Seasons of Migration to the North, In the Testaments Club, 2 out of 10.